You spent… what? I didn't scream it. I didn't need to. My voice cut through the air like a cold knife, the kind that makes people stop chewing mid-bite. Pearl didn't even flinch. She just blinked at me from across the kitchen island, swirling her coffee like she was stirring in indifference. "Oh, relax. It's not like you were using it," she said, setting the mug down with a soft clink. I stared at her, blinking, waiting for the punchline. "You spent my medical savings," she shrugged. "Technically, it was a joint account, and you weren't doing anything with it. Just letting it sit there for years. That's not healthy either. My name is Daisy. I'm 27, and I've spent the last 5 years saving every penny I could for a surgery that might let me live without pain for the first time since I was 13. I've skipped vacations, birthdays, even heating in winter, just to get to that number. $40,000. Gone. Pearl, my mother, took it. Not for rent, not for groceries, not for an emergency. She bought my brother a car, a BMW X5 Re, fully loaded, black leather interior, red bow on top. I found out when I went to check my savings account that morning. 0. Not a typo, not a glitch, just 0. I thought it was fraud. I called the bank. They said the transaction was authorized by Pearl, using a power of attorney I never signed. I drove straight to her house, my joints screaming with every press of the brake. She was in the kitchen, humming like she hadn't just detonated my life. "You bought Tyrell a car," I said, still trying to make her say it out loud. I needed to hear it. She smiled like I'd just asked if she liked my dress. "He's getting married, and he got that big job in marketing. He deserves something nice." That was my surgery money. "You'll figure it out," she said, brushing invisible crumbs off the counter. "You always do." I looked over at Tyrell, sprawled on the couch like a king on his throne. He tossed a set of keys in the air, caught them, smirked. "Looks good, huh?" he said. "I mean, I could have gotten something more modest, but Mum insisted." "Modest?" I repeated. He grinned. "Hey, it's not every day you get engaged and land a 6-figure job in the same week." I turned back to Pearl. "You forged my name." She waved her hand like I was being dramatic. "I signed for you. It's not the same. It's fraud. It's family," she said. "And honestly, Daisy, you've been so negative lately. Always talking about your illness, your pain, your surgery. It's exhausting." My hands were shaking. Not from rage. Well, not just rage. My body couldn't handle stress. My joints were already starting to throb, my legs weak from standing too long. "I've been saving that money for 5 years, I said. "I've been living off rice and canned beans. I've missed weddings, birthdays, everything. I've been in and out of hospitals, and you think I'm being negative?" Pearl's voice sharpened. "You think you're the only one who suffers? I raised 2 kids by myself. I worked double shifts. I didn't have time to whine every time I had a headache." "This isn't a headache," I snapped. She crossed her arms. "You've always been dramatic, always making things bigger than they are. Tyrell handles things. He doesn't complain, he steps up." "Because you've never made him do anything else," I said. "He's 30 and still brings you his laundry." Tyrell stood up finally. "All right, calm down. Don't make this about you. You're always making everything about you." I laughed. Actually, laughed. "You stole $40,000 from me and gave it to him. How is this not about me?" Pearl stepped between us. "That's enough. We're not doing this. You're tired. You need rest. You get emotional when you're flaring." I stared at her. "Don't you dare use my illness to shut me up." She narrowed her eyes. "Then act like an adult. This isn't the end of the world." "No," I said quietly. "It's just the end of pretending we're a family." I turned to leave. My knees nearly buckled, but I kept walking. I made it to the door before Terrell called out behind me. "Hey, sis," he said, tossing the car keys in the air again. "Thanks for the ride." I didn't respond. I didn't scream, cry, or slam the door. I just smiled. Not the kind of smile that forgives, the kind that promises. They mistake my silence for surrender, but they've never seen what I become when I'm quiet. I sat in my car outside the bank, the engine off, keys in my lap. My hands were shaking again, not from my illness this time, but from fury. Cold, focused fury. I walked inside, head down, hoodie up. The teller smiled. I didn't. "I need to speak to someone about fraudulent activity on a joint account." She led me to a small office. A man in a navy suit introduced himself as Raymond. I didn't catch his last name. Didn't care. "I need a full transaction history for account 30801, I said, sliding my ID across the desk. He typed without looking up. "This account is jointly held with Pearl, correct?" "Correct." He clicked a few times, then turned the screen toward me. There it was. $40,000 withdrawn in 2 chunks. One for $38,000, labelled as a cashier's check. The other for $2,000, debit card purchase at a dealership. "Can I get copies of those documents?" I asked. He hesitated. "Because it's a joint account. Either party has access. But yes, you can request copies." "Good. I want to see the signature on that cashier's check." He printed it. I didn't even need to look twice. The signature was mine, except it wasn't. A shaky, lazy imitation. The loops in the Y were wrong. The D looked like a child's drawing. "That's not my signature." He frowned. "You're saying this was forged?" "I'm saying I didn't authorize any of this." He leaned back. "You may want to consult legal counsel. Since your name is on the account, it gets messy. Messy. That's what they always call it when a family member screws you over. Not illegal, not immoral, just messy." I walked out with a folder of copies and a silent scream building in my chest. That night, I sat on my couch, knees wrapped in heat pads, laptop open. I hadn't spoken to Pearl or Terrell since the kitchen incident. I wasn't going to. I needed someone who didn't think I was being dramatic. I typed out a message. "Hi, I know it's been a while. I need your help. Please." I stared at the name for a second before hitting send. Sasha. My aunt. Pearl's younger sister. The one who got cut off from the family for being a bad influence after she married a woman and became a lawyer. I hadn't seen her in 6 years. 3 minutes later, my phone rang. "Daisy?" she said, voice soft but cautious. "Yeah, it's me." "What's going on?" I told her everything. The account, the forged signature, the car, Pearl's smug face, Tyrell's keys flipping in the air. "I have documentation," I said. "Bank statements, signature copies." She was quiet for a second. Then, "Can you come to my office tomorrow?" "I can try. I'll come to you." Sasha showed up the next day with a legal pad and a look that said she was already 10 steps ahead. We sat at my kitchen table. She flipped through the folder, nodding slowly. "Okay," she said. "This is bad, but not impossible." She says it was a joint account, so she had the right. She didn't have the right to forge your signature on a cashier's check. That's fraud. But the bank won't press charges. "No," Sasha said, "but you can. Or you can sue her civilly." I looked at her. Would that even get me the money back? Maybe. But it would be public. And messy. There was that word again. "I don't just want the money," I said. Sasha raised an eyebrow. "What do you want?" "I want them to feel what I felt. Humiliated, powerless." She closed the folder. "You want your money or your justice?" "Both," she smiled. not a condescending smile, a proud one. Then we do this smart, quiet, legal, and with receipts. We spent the next 2 weeks gathering everything. Sasha requested a handwriting analysis. I gave her old birthday cards and signed forms for comparison. We pulled Pearl's credit report. We found the dealership where the BMW was purchased. I called them, pretending to be a customer, interested in a similar model. "Oh, yes," the salesman said. "We sold one just like that a few weeks ago. Black X5, leather interior, custom rims, paid with a cashier's check and a debit card. Financing under a Pearl." "Wow," I said, playing dumb. "Do you know if the payments are current?" He hesitated. "Well, technically, that's private information." I laughed. Right, just curious. My fiancé is terrible with bills." He chuckled. "Well, let's just say it wouldn't be the first time we had to send a warning." Bingo. I hung up and called Sasha. "She's behind on payments," I said. "The car's not even fully paid off." "Then it's not hers," Sasha said. "It's the bank's, and that gives us options." I stared out the window. The sky was bruised with clouds. My body was aching again, but I didn't care. "Let's make a plan," I said. "I want this to hurt." Sasha's voice was calm. "It will, but it'll be clean. No screaming matches, no revenge porn, just the truth. With a spotlight." I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. "They think I'm too sick to fight back," I said. Sasha's voice was steel. "Then let's show them what sick looks like when it's done playing nice." I stepped out of my car and adjusted the blazer I borrowed from Sasha. It was 2 sizes too big, but it made me look older, more serious. I walked into the dealership like I belonged there. The showroom smelled like leather and desperation. Flashy cars lined the floor, each one gleaming under the overhead lights. A salesman in a tight suit with too much gel spotted me and smiled. "Looking for something specific today?" he asked. "Yeah. My fiancé's been talking about a black BMW X5. Leather interior, custom rims. I think he saw one here a few weeks ago." The salesman's eyes lit up. "Oh, yeah, I remember that one. Beautiful car. We sold it to a couple. Mother and son, I think. Big day for him, engagement and new job, right?" I nodded. "That's the one. He said he bought it outright." The salesman laughed. "Well, not exactly. His mum financed it. She signed all the paperwork." I tilted my head. "Oh, he told me he paid cash." The salesman's smile faltered. Maybe he meant the down payment." "Right," I said, pulling out my phone. "Mind if I take a picture of the model on the floor? I want to send it to his parents." "Sure thing." I snapped a photo and slipped the phone back into my bag. "Do you know if the payments are current?" He hesitated. "I really can't say." "I get it," I said, leaning in. "I'm just trying to make sure he's being honest. I mean, if he's lying about the car, what else is he lying about, right?" The salesman gave a sheepish smile. "Let's just say we've sent a couple reminders." I thanked him and walked out, heart pounding. As soon as I got in my car, I called Sasha. "Confirmed," I said. "The car's in Pearl's name. Tyrell lied to Stephanie." Sasha whistled. "That's leverage." "I'm not done yet." That night, I called Tomas. "Hey," he said, voice cautious. "Didn't expect to hear from you." "I need a favor." "Of course you do." "I'm serious." He sighed. "What is it?" "You still work with that PI firm?" "Yeah." "I need you to dig into a car purchase. BMW X5 black, bought 3 weeks ago by Pearl. I need everything. Financing, payment status, dealership records, whatever you can get." There was a pause. "You okay?" he asked. "No?" "All right. I'll see what I can find." 2 days later, Thomas showed up at my apartment. with a folder and a 6-pack of ginger ale. "You're not going to like this," he said, handing me the folder. I flipped it open. There it was. Copies of the financing agreement, dealership notes, even a copy of the forged cashier's check with my name scrawled on it, like a bad joke. "That's not my signature," I said. "I know, it's sloppy." He pulled out another sheet. "Here's the kicker. Pearl used your name as a co-signer. Forged it. That's why the loan got approved." I blinked. "Wait, I'm on the loan?" "Technically, yeah, that's why the bank approved it. You've got better credit than she does." I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. "So if she defaults, it hits your credit." I stood up too fast. My knee buckled and I grabbed the table for balance. "Jesus," Thomas said, rushing over. "Sit down." "I'm fine," I snapped, waving him off. He crouched next to me. "You're not fine. This is serious." "I know." He looked up at me. "You want me to go to the cops?" "No," I said, "not yet." "Then what?" I stared at the folder. "I want them to burn, but I want it to be slow. Legal, public." Thomas nodded. "You've got the receipts. Now you need the stage." I looked at him. "You still have that contact at the local gossip Instagram page?" He grinned. "You're thinking social?" "I'm thinking exposure." He stood up. "You really haven't changed." "I have," I said. "I just got tired of asking nicely." The next day, I drove to Terrell's condo. I waited until he left for work, probably late as usual. Then knocked on the door. Stephanie answered, still in her robe. "Oh, Daisy?" "Hey," I said, forcing a smile. "Got a minute?" She looked surprised, but stepped aside. "Sure, come in." The place was pristine. White furniture, gold accents, a giant engagement photo on the wall. "I just wanted to drop something off," I said, pulling a manila envelope from my bag. "Some documents about the car Tyrell's driving." Her brow furrowed. "What kind of documents?" "Loan info, payment status, the fact that it's not in his name, and that he used forged paperwork to get it." She stared at me. "What are you talking about?" "I'm telling you that car was paid for with stolen money. My money. And your fiancé lied to you about it." She looked down at the envelope like it was radioactive. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because I figured you'd want to know before you marry him." Stephanie didn't say anything, just held the envelope frozen. I turned to leave. "Wait," she said. "Why are you doing this?" I looked her dead in the eye. "Because no one warned me when they stole from me. I'm giving you a choice." Then I walked out. That night, Thomas texted me. "Got what you need. There's just one problem. You're not going to like how deep this goes." I called him. "What do you mean?" "There's more," he said. "Pearl's been moving money through a second account, one that used your name to open. It's not just the car. She's been using your credit for months." My stomach dropped. "How much?" "Hard to say yet, but it's enough to get her in real trouble." I didn't speak. "You still want to go public?" I looked out the window. The sky was dark, but I could see the reflection of my face in the glass. Calm, cold, more than ever. When the invitation came, it wasn't even addressed to me. A cream-coloured envelope, gold lettering delivered to Sasha's mailbox by mistake. She opened it and slid it across the table to me. "You're not going, right?" she asked, sipping her tea. I looked at the words. "Engagement dinner for Tyrell and Stephanie, hosted by Pearl. Dress code, formal. Location, the Oak Room." I flipped the card over. No mention of me, not even a +1. "I wasn't invited," I said. Sasha raised an eyebrow. "I'm sure that was intentional." I nodded. "She probably told people I was too sick to attend." Sasha leaned forward. "You're not thinking of showing up, are you?" I smiled. Not exactly. I called Thomas that night. She's throwing a party to impress Stephanie's parents. The Oak Room, Saturday night. He whistled. That's high end. Yeah, Pearl's going all out. Probably wants to lock in the wedding before the truth catches up. You want to drop the bomb there? Not me, I said. I want the car to do it. There was a pause. You want the car repossessed at the engagement party? Right in front of everyone. He laughed, as that's cold. It's fair. He stopped laughing. You'll need the dealership's cooperation and timing. I'll handle the timing. Can you help with the rest? Already on it, he said, but you better be sure this won't be quiet. I don't want it quiet. The next day, I called the dealership. Hi, I'm calling about a vehicle that's behind on payments, a BMW X5 under Pearl's name. The woman on the line hesitated. I'm sorry, we can't disclose. I'm the co-signer, I interrupted, and I have reason to believe the car is being used fraudulently. She paused. Can I get your name and the last 4 digits of your SSN? I gave her the info. A few minutes later, she was back on the line. Yes, the account is delinquent. We've sent notices. If payment isn't made by Friday, the vehicle is eligible for repossession. I want to make a partial payment to keep the account open, I said, but I want the repossession to happen publicly. Saturday night, 8 p.m, the Oak Room. She didn't respond right away. I'm sorry, Mum, that's unusual. I'm aware, but I'll cover the tow fee and the cost to keep the account open. I just want the car picked up in front of an audience. She hesitated. I'll have to check with our recovery team. Please do. I'll send proof of cosigner status and payment today. Okay, she said. I'll call you back. That night, I met Sasha at her office. They're going to do it, I said. Saturday night. She leaned back in her chair. You're really doing this? They humiliated me, I said. Now it's their turn. She looked at me for a long time. You know this won't fix what they did. I know, I said, but it'll make it visible. And that's all I want. She nodded slowly. Then let's make sure it's airtight. Friday afternoon, I posted a tip to a local gossip Instagram account. I used a burner email, attached screenshots of the forged documents, and a voice clip Thomas had pulled from a wiretap on Pearl's phone. In the clip, she was laughing. Well, Daisy never used the money. I figured, why not? Tyrell needs a good car. He's got a real future. I didn't even flinch when I heard it. I was past flinching. The caption I sent with the tip read, local, self-made groom's luxury car bought with stolen medical funds. Repossession scheduled for engagement party. Stay tuned. I hit send. Saturday came. I didn't dress up. I didn't do my hair. I sat in Sasha's car across the street from the Oak Room, hoodie up, eyes on the front doors. Inside, I imagined the scene. Pearl in pearls, Tyrell grinning like a politician, Stephanie's parents sipping wine and pretending to be impressed. At 8:03 p.m, the tow truck pulled up. Showtime, Sasha said. We watched as the truck backed into the valet lane. 2 men in uniforms got out, clipboard in hand. The valet looked confused, then pointed toward the side lot. I saw the guests inside start to gather near the windows. Phones came out. Faces pressed against the glass. Then the flash of red and blue lights. Not police, just the tow truck's warning system. The car was hooked in under 2 minutes. Smooth. Professional. Public. Then came the audio. Someone, probably Thomas, had connected a Bluetooth speaker near the entrance. Pearl's voice rang out loud and clear. Well, Daisy never used the money. I figured, why not? Tyrell Anus needs a good car. He's got a real future. Gasps, murmurs. One woman clapped a hand over her mouth. Then the car was gone. And so was the illusion. I watched from the car as Pearl came storming out, face white, dress wrinkled. Tyrell followed, yelling at someone on the phone. Stephanie wasn't with them. "Where's Stephanie?" I asked. Sasha pointed. "There." Stephanie stood just inside the glass doors, arms crossed, face unreadable. Her father was already walking out, shaking his head. Pearl turned, scanning the street. Her eyes landed on me. I rolled down the window. She took a step forward. I smiled and mouthed one word: justice. Then we drove off. The next morning, my phone was on fire. 50 missed calls, dozens of texts, a few voicemails I didn't bother listening to. I scrolled through the messages, most of them from unknown numbers. One read, "I always knew Pearl was shady. Can't believe she did that to her own daughter." Another, "Girl, the audio, I'm shaking." The gossip post had gone viral. Over 20,000 likes, hundreds of comments. People were tagging me even though I never gave anyone my handle. Someone even found my old blog where I wrote about living with chronic illness. Suddenly, strangers were calling me brave, inspirational. I wasn't sure how to feel about that. Sasha called. "You okay?" "Yeah, just overwhelmed." "You did it. They're exposed." "Yeah, but it's not over." She paused. "You want to keep going?" "I want to make sure they can't spin it. No gaslighting, no fake apologies, just truth." Sasha let out a breath. "Then we keep going." That afternoon, Thomas came by with a flash drive. He handed it to me like it was a grenade. "This is everything," he said. "Phone recordings, texts, emails, all of it." "Anything useful?" He gave me a look. "You kidding? Pearl's been bragging for weeks. She told her friend Esther that you were too weak to fight back, that you'd cry for a day and get over it." I clenched my jaw. "Esther? The one who runs that charity gala every year?" "Yep." "She was on the invite list for the engagement party." I smiled. "Perfect." Thomas raised an eyebrow. "What are you thinking?" "I'm thinking it's time Esther knew who she's aligning herself with." I called Esther that evening. She sounded surprised but polite. "Daisy? Oh, hi. I heard about the situation." "Yeah, I figured you had." "Well, I'm sure there's been a misunderstanding. Pearl told me you were having a flare-up and needed rest." I laughed. "That's one way to put it." She hesitated. "Look, I don't want to get in the middle of family drama. I'm not asking you to. I just thought you'd want to hear what Pearl said about you." Silence. "She told someone you were too old and too desperate to be relevant," I said. "That your gala was a charity circle jerk and she only attends for the photo ops." More silence. "I have the recording. Want me to send it?" Esther's voice dropped. "Yes." I sent it. 2 minutes later, she texted back, "Consider her uninvited and blocked." The next day, Pearl showed up at my apartment. I didn't open the door. I watched her from the peephole as she knocked, then banged, then, finally, leaned her forehead against the wood. "Daisy," she said, voice muffled, "we need to talk." I didn't move. "Please, you've made your point. You've embarrassed us. Tyrell's job is on the line. Stephanie's family is threatening legal action. What do you want?" I waited. She knocked again. "Daisy, be reasonable. You don't understand how hard it's been for me." I almost laughed. Then she said it. "You destroyed this family." I opened the door just enough to look her in the eye. "No, Ma. You destroyed this family the day you stole from mine." I shut the door in her face. Later that night, I met Sasha at her office again. We sat in silence for a while before she slid a folder across the table. "What's this?" I asked. "Draft of a civil suit, fraud, identity theft, emotional distress. We have enough to move forward." I flipped through the pages. Will it get me the money back? Possibly. But even if it doesn't, it will make sure she can't do this to anyone else. I nodded. Let's file it. Sasha smiled. You sure? I looked her dead in the eye. I'm done being quiet. Thomas called the next morning. Tyrell got fired. Really? Yeah, his company didn't like being tagged in a viral post about financial fraud. Go figure. I didn't gloat. I just said, thanks for the update. Oh, and Stephanie moved out. Took the ring off her Instagram bio. Her dad's threatening to sue for misrepresentation. I blinked. Can he do that? Maybe. Doesn't matter. The damage is done. I hung up and sat in the quiet. My body ached, but it was a familiar ache. This time it came with something else. Relief. That night, I posted something on my blog. They said I was too sick to fight back, too dramatic, too sensitive. But I wasn't. I was just waiting, watching, collecting. To everyone who's ever been gaslit by their own family, this is for you. The comments poured in. Messages from women who'd been disbelieved, dismissed, discarded. People who knew what it felt like to be the scapegoat, the black sheep, the problem. I didn't reply to all of them, but I read every single one. The next morning, Sasha and I met at a cafe. She looked tired, but proud. You know, she said, you could start something with this. A foundation, a support group, something for people like you. I stirred my tea. You think people would care? They already do. I nodded slowly. Then let's do it. She smiled. You've come a long way. I looked out the window where the sun was just starting to rise. Yeah, I said. And I'm not done yet. The oak room was packed. Crystal chandeliers sparkled above rows of white-clothed tables, each one decorated with gold-trimmed name cards and overpriced centerpieces. Waiters glided between guests with trays of champagne. The room buzzed with laughter, clinking glasses, and the kind of shallow compliments rich people toss around like confetti. I wasn't inside, but I didn't need to be. I was parked across the street in Sasha's car, watching it all unfold through binoculars like a low-budget spy movie. Are you sure about this? Sasha asked, her voice calm but firm. Too late to back out now. She nodded and handed me her phone. Tomas just texted. They're in position. I looked at the screen. Tow truck ready. Audio cued. Give the word. I typed back. Wait for my signal. Inside, Tyrell stood at the front of the room, holding a mic. He looked polished in his tailored suit, hair slicked back like a game show host. Stephanie stood beside him in a champagne-coloured dress, smiling like she hadn't just moved out of their condo 2 days ago. Thank you all for coming tonight, Tyrell said. It means the world to us to have our friends and family here to celebrate our future. He paused for applause. Pearl beamed from her seat, front and centre, practically glowing with pride. Gary sat beside her, looking bored as usual. And, of course, Tyrell continued, I want to thank my incredible mother for everything she's done to support me, including helping me get my dream car. That was my cue. I hit send. Now. Across the street, the tow truck's engine roared to life. It pulled into the valet lane like it belonged there, hazard lights flashing. The driver stepped out, clipboard in hand, and walked straight toward the black BMW X5, parked like a trophy near the entrance. Inside, heads turned, people stood, phones came out. The driver slapped a bright orange repossession sticker on the windshield and started hooking the car. I watched through the binoculars as Pearl stood up, her mouth moving fast, hands flailing. Tyrell dropped the mic. Stephanie looked confused. Her parents looked furious. Then came the audio. Tomas had placed a Bluetooth speaker just outside the doors, hidden in a planter. Pearl's voice crackled to life over the quiet hum of confusion. Well, Daisy never used the money. I figured, why not? Tyrell needs a good car. He's got a real future. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Someone shouted, "Is that her voice?" Another voice added, "She stole from her own daughter." Pearl froze, eyes wide, face draining of colour. Terrell looked like someone had slapped him. The car was lifted onto the flatbed in under 2 minutes. Clean, fast, brutal. The driver climbed back in, gave a small wave to the stunned crowd, and pulled away. Silence hung in the air like a fog. Then Stephanie's father stood up. "I think we've heard enough," he said loud and clear. "Stephanie, we're leaving." Stephanie didn't move. She just stared at Terrell, her face unreadable. "Is it true?" she asked. Terrell opened his mouth, but no words came out. Pearl stepped forward. "Sweetheart, this is all a misunderstanding. Daisy's been unstable for years." That was when Stephanie turned to her. "You stole from your daughter to buy your son a car," she said, "and you let him lie about it." Pearl reached out. "Please, don't believe everything you hear." Stephanie stepped back. "I believed enough already." Then she turned and walked out, her parents close behind. Tyrell followed, calling her name, but she didn't look back. Inside, the guests started murmuring, some grabbing their coats, others filming the whole thing. Pearl stood alone in the middle of the room, her perfect night unravelling. She turned toward the window, scanning the street. Her eyes found me. I rolled down the passenger window and gave her a small, satisfied smile. She stared, frozen. Then I mouthed the word, "Justice." Sasha and I didn't say anything on the drive home. We didn't need to. Later that night, I got a text from Thomas. "Stephanie's dad is pressing charges. Fraud, misrepresentation. He's pissed." I replied, "Good." Then another message came in. Unknown number. "You ruined everything. I hope you're proud of yourself." I didn't even need to check who it was from. I blocked the number. The next morning, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was a message request from someone named Elena. "Hi, I saw your story. My mum did something similar, stole my student loan refund and blamed me for not budgeting. I just wanted to say thank you. You made me feel seen." I stared at the message for a long time, then typed back, "You're not alone. We're not crazy. They just never expected us to speak up." I hit send. Then I opened my laptop and started writing, not for revenge, for everyone like me. The fallout came fast and loud. By Monday morning, Pearl's name was trending, for all the wrong reasons. The video of the repossession, paired with the audio clip, had been picked up by a local news station. They blurred my name, but not hers. The headline read, "Mother accused of stealing daughter's medical funds to buy son a luxury car." I watched the segment in Sasha's office, arms crossed, legs shaking. "She's cooked," Sasha said, flipping her phone over. "The DA's office called this morning. They're opening a fraud investigation." "Will they actually press charges?" "If they can prove the forged documents and misuse of your identity." "Yeah, they will." I didn't smile. I didn't cry. I just nodded. "What about Terrell?" I asked. She sighed. "Fired. His company released a statement about integrity and ethics. Stephanie's family is suing him for misrepresentation during the engagement, claiming he lied about his finances and intentions." I leaned back in the chair. "He did." "Exactly." My phone buzzed. Another message. Another stranger sharing their story. This one said her mum used her identity to open a credit card and blamed her for missing payments. I showed Sasha. "It's non-stop." She smiled. "You're starting something." I didn't mean to. Maybe not, but maybe it needed to happen. That night, I got a knock on my door. I opened it and found Pearl standing there, makeup smeared, hair wild, eyes bloodshot. "I need to talk to you," she said. I didn't move. Please, she added, her voice cracking. I stepped aside. She walked in like a ghost, her heels clicking softly on the floor. I don't know what you think you've done, she started. I sat on the couch. I exposed what you actually did. She turned to face me. You've embarrassed this family, destroyed your brother's future. Do you think that makes you better? I blinked. You stole $40,000 from me, lied, forged my name, and now you're blaming me for the consequences. I was trying to help him, she snapped. He's getting married. He needed a car. And I needed surgery, I said flatly. You always make everything about your illness. I stood up. Because it is about my illness. That money was my lifeline. You knew that. Pearl's eyes filled with tears. You don't understand. I've sacrificed everything for this family. No, I said. You sacrificed me for the family over and over. She looked stunned. I didn't come here to fight, she said, softer now. I came to apologize. No, you didn't, I said. You came to save face. Because now everyone knows who you really are. She looked like she might argue, but then her shoulders slumped. I don't have anyone left, she whispered. I stared at her. That's not my fault. She didn't respond, just turned and walked out, closing the door behind her. I locked it. The next day, Sasha and I met with a rep from a non-profit that supports women with chronic illnesses. We sat in a small conference room, surrounded by posters with words like empowerment and resilience. I've read your blog, the rep said, and we've seen the response online. We'd love to help you build something, maybe a fund or a platform where others can share their stories. I looked at Sasha. She nodded. I want to call it The Quiet Fight, I said, for everyone who's been dismissed or disbelieved. The rep smiled. That's powerful. I didn't feel powerful. I felt tired, but I also felt something else. Steady. Later that week, I sat at a cafe with Tomas. He slid a folder across the table. Final report, he said. Everything we found, in case you want to keep going. I opened it. More forged documents, more lies. A second credit card opened in my name. Small charges, but enough to prove a pattern. Think it'll help the DA? Definitely. I closed the folder. Thank you. He nodded. You did all the hard stuff. I looked at him. Why'd you help me? Really? He hesitated. Because I remember who you were before all this, and I hated how they treated you. You deserved better. I smiled just a little. Still do. That night, I got another call. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. Later, I listened to it. Pearl again. Daisy. I don't know what to say anymore. I'm sorry. I really am. I miss you. I miss when we were a family. I deleted it. Then I opened my blog and started typing. Some people think family is unconditional. That no matter what they do, you're supposed to forgive, forget, move on. But sometimes protecting yourself means walking away, even if it's your own mother. Especially if it's your own mother. I hit publish and I didn't look back. The hospital room was quiet except for the soft beep of the monitor and the shuffle of Sasha flipping through a magazine in the corner. I lay in the bed, IV taped to my arm, a dull ache blooming in my ribs, but it was manageable. The surgery was over. It was done. You look like hell, Sasha said without looking up. I cracked a smile. You should see the other guy. She snorted. That's the morphine talking. The nurse came in, checked my vitals, and gave me a thumbs up. You're doing great. Doctor says everything went as planned. Thanks, I murmured. As she left, Thomas walked in, holding a smoothie in a paper bag. Look who survived, he said. Barely, I replied. What's in the bag? Real food. Well, real-ish. He handed it over. Hospital jello doesn't count. I took it with shaky hands. You didn't have to come. He pulled up a chair. Yeah, I did. Sasha stood and stretched. I'm going to grab coffee. You two behave. She winked at me and slipped out. Thomas leaned forward, elbows on his knees. So, how's it feel? Like someone dropped a truck on my spine and then apologized with a warm blanket. He smiled. But, worth it? I nodded. Yeah, worth it. He looked around the room, then back at me. You know, when this all started, I thought you'd just yell at them. Maybe post a rant online. I didn't expect all this. Neither did I. But you did it. You got your money back. You got justice. I shook my head slowly. I didn't get all the money back. Most of it's gone. Legal fees, medical costs, everything Pearl drained. But you got your voice back, he said. That's something. I looked at him. You think I went too far? He paused. No, I think you went just far enough. We sat in silence for a moment. Then he added, Pearl's officially being charged. Fraud, identity theft, forgery. DA's office confirmed this morning. I blinked. Wow. She's trying to get a plea deal. Wants to avoid jail time. Of course she does. She also tried to call me. Said she wanted to fix things. I laughed, bitter. She's not sorry. She's cornered. Yeah, but she's quiet now. That's new. I took a sip of the smoothie. Let her stay quiet. When I was discharged, Thomas drove me home. Sasha followed behind in her car, just in case. I walked slowly, bracing myself on the banister as we climbed the stairs to my apartment. Inside, the place smelled like lavender and dust. I hadn't been home in days. Thomas helped me to the couch, then looked around. You need anything? I'm good. He hesitated. You sure? I nodded. Thanks for everything. He gave a small smile, then turned to leave. At the door, he paused. You're stronger than you think, he said. I didn't answer. I just watched him go. A week later, I stood in front of a small crowd in a community centre, folding chairs, a cheap mic, and a banner that read, The Quiet Fight, Launch Event. Sasha introduced me. I stepped up to the mic, hands trembling. Hi, I said. My name's Daisy. I live with a chronic illness. And for a long time, I let people make me feel like I was exaggerating. Like I was the problem. A few heads nodded. I was told to be quiet, to stop making things difficult, to stop asking for help. But silence didn't protect me. It only made it easier for people to take advantage. I took a breath. So I stopped being quiet, and everything changed. Applause. Small, but real. After the event, a woman approached me. Mid-30s, tired eyes, holding a folder. My mum took out a loan in my name, she said. I didn't know until I applied for an apartment and got denied. I thought I was crazy. Your story, it helped. I looked her in the eye. You're not crazy. You're just not alone. She smiled, tears in her eyes. Thank you. That night, I sat on my balcony, wrapped in a blanket. My body still ached, but it was a different kind of pain now. A healing kind. Sasha came out with 2 mugs of tea. Big day, she said. Yeah. You did good. I looked at her. Do you think she'll ever change? Pearl, she snorted. No, but that's not your job anymore. I nodded. She called again, Sasha added. Left a voicemail, said she wanted to talk. I raised an eyebrow. You gonna call her back? Nope. We clinked mugs and watched the city lights flicker in the distance. Sasha leaned back and smiled. You know, she said, some people think karma is cosmic. I grinned, finishing her thought. But sometimes it just looks like a tow truck. Bright headlights slicing through the lies.